ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Xbox the Box, an Xbox podcast. My name is Potato, and I'm with my good friend, Alice. How you doing, Alice?
Hi, my name's Alice, pronouns she, they, and I think we just got some, stuff going through at the moment because it's just so happens that the Game Pass, the best deal on gaming, has got prices going up. Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, so that's our... I mean, we can just jump straight into it. That's our first news article of the week. Game Pass is changing. People are freaking out. Go to the border. It's the end of the world. We're all going to die. Game Pass is going up by a whole £2. Oh, no. It's all over.
Well, it's not like we have this same kind of effect as about £2 increase there. But it just seems like in the moment that compared to last year, it's just gone up about £4. So it's got a price increase, and then there's another price increase on top.
It sucks. And it's unfortunate the prices have to go up, but the prices of Netflix got up, the price of Disney Plus got up, the price of PlayStation Plus has gone up. Everything goes up in price, unfortunately, due to inflation. Oh. And I still think it's a great deal, personally. But it's a shame, but there you go.
I got a button and then just found out that actually price increases because originally in dollars, and I've been looking around, but it's just only listing the core price increases as well as per year, and there's the monthly for the Game Pass thing. But I got the information here is that the Game Pass Ultimate tier would jump from £12.99, €14.99, and $16.99 per month. Oh, whoa, that's a lot higher than I thought. So pardon me for getting the misinformation there. But it would be increased to £14.99, €17.99, and $19.99, which is $20 per month.
Yeah, but the currency translation and currency, I think we still end up paying more, even though it's a lower number. I think it works out more in pounds, as far as I'm aware. I might not be 100% sure about that, but we usually end up paying more because we're British.
Well, I haven't exactly said about the rest of the prices here because PC Game Pass, £70.99, 9-year. €10 and $10 per month to £10, £12, €12 and $12 per month. And I think the core at the moment it seems to be done at about every year, and I don't know if it's done in months, but it will be increasing from £50, €60 and $60, or to be precise, £49.99. €59.99 and $59.99 to $55.99, €69.99 and $74.99. And it's quite a price for it. So what's going to happen is that the price changes will take effect this week on July the 10th for new members, but for the existing members, they will continue to pay the previous prices, which they will then pay for the new prices on September the 12th. And it says here, as of September the 18th, the maximum extension limit of Game Pass for console for existing users will be 13 months.
So I've just looked at the conversion rate. £15 in the UK money, so $14.99 is the equivalent of $19.47. So actually, we're paying 50 cents less than Americans. So take that, America! We got it slightly cheaper than you. We're saving 50 cents, baby. Which I'm shocked at. I usually the other way around, but there you go. Just checking the conversion rates on Google. But yeah. I mean, honestly, as I said, I don't like the idea that the prices are going up, but it's kind of inevitable, and I'm it's still a good service. I still think it's worth every penny, personally. What's interesting, I don't think you've mentioned that on this list, is that the Game Pass for console is now being changed to
Yes, I think
standard.
I think we're just jumping between areas because yes, I was going to go down to this is that Game Pass console is going to be phased out, which means instead of that, I think it's related to the console only. So I think it's going to be changed to Xbox Game Pass Standard, and it will still feature all the games you can play on console, as well as some multiplayer and the member deals and discounts. Oh, good. But it does not have any of the benefits of a Game Pass Ultimate, where with Ultimate, you can get EA Play membership, and I don't know if it's the same for other additional membership things. Yeah. But you do have cloud gaming on multiple devices. So if you're going via TV for like soon, then you need Ultimate. And you get free perks every month, which is more applicable if you play free-to-play games, just to get some extra content. But the biggest thing with Standard is that you're not going to be able to get day one releases. So if you're looking to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6, you may have to wait a few months for it to come to the Game Pass catalog.
Yeah, or you have to pay a little bit more. It's interesting. I feel like it makes sense to me because Game Pass for console, I never really understood it. Because at Game Pass for console, I mean, I think this is the case, is you pay the money for the console Game Pass, you get the collection, you get everything day one and all that, but it doesn't come with Xbox Live. Or at least it didn't. So you couldn't play online games with Game Pass for console. So it was a bit redundant. Like, so essentially, like, I get Call of Duty Black Ops 6 day one, but then there's no online for it. I have to play it offline. It seems a bit silly. So it's like, it makes sense to me that essentially, but now every version of Xbox has the online multiplayer as a part of it. But to compensate, they have to remove something to make it worthwhile to upgrade to the Ultimate. So their thinking is to remove the day one thing, which I think is interesting because people because you've cancelled your Game Pass before in the past.
Well, I'm still on it actually for a few months, but I'm still keeping it while I get all of the achievements for a few other games, and I still have to return to Hellblade. But I've been playing a lot of Minecraft, binge on it, and I'm like building my own world. So I seem to be getting so much out of it, but I just have to take a break and then focus on the other games before I could consider unsubscribing again. But
yeah, because what I was going to say,
who knows?
Because what I was going to say is for people who because you dabble in it, you dabble in sometimes removing it, sometimes you keep it, all this stuff. So it makes it interesting because now Xbox need to make sure they have day one games consistently, because if we go 6-7 months without a day one game, people just downgrade to the standard edition, because what's the point of having it? The main selling point of the upgrade from standard to ultimate is the day one games. So if you don't have day one games, then why would you pay the extra $4 or £4?
Well, actually, if you also got faster internet, you can also get cloud gaming with Ultimate, and you can also play it on other devices like iPad or Android. But the standard tier is just strictly exclusive to Xbox consoles. Yeah. So I think the chances are you may not interest a lot unless you own an Xbox. But speaking of which, I think we forgot the prices there, because at the moment, according to one article, it says you have to pay $14.99 a month for it. That if I were to convert it into GBP, Great British Pound, which is not conclusive, but it could well be £11.99. But we may get a more accurate value as we get closer to release of the standard tier. But I would imagine that it will be €14.99, but that's only just an estimation.
Yeah, but I mean, my point was, I know the cloud, obviously, if you like doing cloud gaming, then obviously you're going to need to keep it. But if you're someone who just plays Game Pass for the collection of games, and there's nothing that interests you that's coming day one for the next 3 or 4 months, then you might as well downgrade to the standard edition. Like if you're a console gamer, you like, why would you pay the full price if there's nothing day one for a while? I mean, we haven't had a day one game since Hellblade 2, like exclusive anyway, which was a couple of months ago, and there's no sign of there's a load of games coming out this year, but we still haven't got dates for them, which is shocking to me. That we're in late July and we still don't know when. We don't know when we're getting Indiana Jones, Avowed, Starfield, Shattered Space, or Flight Sim, or any of these games. It's like it's Call of Duty. Well, I think we know Call of Duty, but there's a lot we don't know still, which is kind of crazy.
It's really frustrating. I mean, when you did the reaction, you were just like got really angry when there's like didn't mention the dates or months. So
yeah, just 2024. It's like, we're in 2024. This is where you tell us months and dates. But yeah, as I said, my opinion on this is that it doesn't really bother me that much. It's a bit of a bummer. It's not great. No one wants to pay more, but at the end of the day, it's still a good service. What I also thought was interesting, I don't know if you mentioned it on here, is that PC Game Pass has not been the price has not gone up at all on PC Game Pass. It's staying the same.
Sorry, I did actually mention it, and it's been increased from the PC Game Pass will be from £7.99 a month, which is also $9.99 a month, to £9.99 and $11.99 per month. So
okay.
So therefore,
I thought you were saying the same. I guess I got that wrong. My bad.
No. Standard tier hasn't been mentioned. It's just going to be like, well, at the moment it only lists $14.99 a month, but it could be £12.99. Who knows? Well, sorry, £11.99. Who knows? But I'm gonna have to ask you a question. That now with the standard, as you might see the interest in it. Would you be willing to downgrade to standard in the future, or will you be sticking to ultimate?
So obviously, ultimate, you also get PC games as well, and now I've got the proud owner of the ROG Ally. That would basically get rid of all the games I have available on my ROG Ally if I did that. It depends on the cadence of games. Like if we go into 2025 now, and then there's like, we got nothing for you until September. Bye. Then I'm like, well, I might as well save £5 a month and go to the lower tier then, isn't it? If they got Xbox for some reason forgets that there's 12 months in a year. They seem to just release everything at the end of the year all the time. It's really weird the way they do it. Yeah. They just shotgun blast. They're just like, oh, here's every exclusive in one go. Like, spread your exclusives out to Xbox, for Christ's sake. Like, I liked Hellblade 2, but it's not enough to last a whole bloody 8 months. Or it's crazy.
It only lasted for about 4 to 6 hours, and that's
exactly. I enjoyed it. For what it was, I enjoyed it. But it's like, we need more. Like, you've got all these exclusives coming. Can you kind of spread them out a bit, please? Because I'm looking at the rest. Like, we're going into month 8 of the year now, and we've got like another 5-6 exclusives to come out. So we're going to be like doubling up in months now going forward, which is kind of crazy. But the months there's no exclusives, I might downgrade to
interesting
to
because
standard.
I think if you're going down the standard, it means you don't have access to PC games. So I suppose you could end up that either you learn to stream from your own Xbox, which might be a bit difficult because of your internet connection, or you had to start buying games on Steam.
Well, I do that anyway sometimes. I got Hades 2 on Steam, so I've been playing that, so I already have some Steam games. But also, as you said, you can stream from your console still, which I have a Series S downstairs and a Series X upstairs, so I have multiple streaming boxes, basically. I just need to get, as you said, get better internet, which I'm hoping to do soon. Fingers crossed. I'm going to speak to my network provider and see if I can get better internet soon. Fingers crossed.
Also going to ask you a question. Now, is Game Pass definitely still worth it, in your opinion, in the short answer?
100%. Yeah, still great. I still love it. I still play it all the time. It essentially, I have an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Switch. My Xbox gets played like 99% of the time. I'll occasionally tip on my Switch, and then I'll like even less occasionally play on my PS5. I'm always on the Xbox. I just started playing Neon White. That's just come to Game Pass. I
how's
just
it getting on?
it's good. It's good, Neon White. You should try it. But yeah, there's loads of really good games come to I was going to say Netflix, coming to Game Pass every single month, and I got such a backlog of games to play through Game Pass, which is kind of crazy. And I love it still. Like Persona 3 was amazing this year. And then, as I said, Neon White's been pretty good. I can't wait to play Flintlock. Hellblade 2 was fun. I mean, I'm playing games on it all the time, so I think it's definitely still worth the money.
So that's your answer then, is it? That's still definitely worth it in your opinion.
£15 a month. I mean, so each game
is it
on
yes
their own is
no?
about 60. Yes, I said yes multiple times.
According to this poll there, which is on the article I've been reading from, 17% of people surveyed said it's definitely still worth it in my opinion.
So you say 70 or 17?
17. 17.
Okay, and then the rest didn't think is worth the money.
That's
weird.
No, that's not the other responses. I'll go through down this poll there.
Go.
There's another option, which is nobody likes price increases. This is according to Pure Xbox, which is an article. So if I can do the description, hopefully I can include it. Otherwise, let me know in the comments. But nobody likes price increases, but I think it's probably still worth it for me. 20%.
Yeah, that's me. That's the one I would have voted for.
I thought so before, but I'm starting to question it now. 26%. There's also 3 other responses about PC Game Pass core member, and some other. But for the people who said no, I don't think it's value for money, to be honest, that's 31%.
Well, that's their choice. Me personally, £15 a month we're paying for this. If you play one game a month, it makes you get your money back, essentially. Games are expensive. Like, indie games are about 30, 40 quid. Full AAA games are about 50, 60, 70 quid. £15 a month for all these games, I still think is worth it, every penny to me. And then, I enjoy all the extra features and all that as well. I love my Game Pass subscription.
Even though it's exclusive to Xbox, unless you pay an additional £5 for it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the ultimate version, yeah. So it's also,
because you only
cloud and
because
PC.
you have to play on the cloud across many devices, as well as again PC games for increased price for the ultimate. Now, there's also another poll that people have surveyed. It's only 6% each for the Game Pass Core and the Game Pass Standard, and 3% is for the PC Game Pass. So it seems that people are going for full-on Game Pass Ultimate, which clocks in about 42%. But only 32% of those surveyed are unsubscribing, whereas the 11% says, I'm not sure yet. So it kind of looks like the price increase leaves a lot to be divided about. So that's kind of unfortunate thing about the price increases.
It's interesting. As I said, it doesn't bother me at all, really. I think it sucks that we have to pay more, but I'm willing to pay it. I think you probably have to double in price for me to not want to pay it anymore. To be honest, £30 a month would probably be way too much. But I think anything below that, I would still pay it because I think it's worth it. Because the amount I play it, if you're one of those people who just plays one game, if you just play Call of Duty, you just play Fortnite, you just play one game all the time, then maybe it's not worth it. But if you're someone like me who's kind of attention deficit disorder, and I'm just constantly playing different things all the time. I was I play this. I play this. A piece of candy. A piece of candy. Just what's this? Downloading all these games and playing different stuff. Then it's worth every penny, because I love playing all these games, and it's saving me a fortune, because I'm going to be... If I bought the games that I've been playing, I would be skinned. right now.
I knew you'll be like boasting about Game Pass, even though at the moment there's been getting price increases, and it looks to be quite a huge investment in the long short scheme of things. But it could well be to do with the internet being more expensive, and you also got other subscription services not only increasing their prices, but also offer other tiers where you just pay less money for it on every month while you get ads. And I'm looking at you, Amazon Prime,
Nah.
which leads me
Oof.
to the video by some ordinary gamer who is a YouTuber who usually comments on a lot of things with games, the internet, and everything. So, according to this video, he says that Game Pass is still a best deal in gaming, or
Okay.
along the lines of it.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I have the middle tier on PlayStation. I can't remember what it's called, and that's nowhere near as good when it comes to the amount of quality you get with it.
I think he would agree with you too, because you mentioned about that and still sees like Game Pass to be quite a good investment in it. But he actually goes on to say that how the price increase is a consequence of the internet becoming more expensive, and that many providers who offer subscriptions start increasing the price. But he does point to a couple of things that the video game crash could happen in the future. And there's also the point where everyone is going to end up being shoved into the subscription-only services. And I think this is a only thing that instead of physical games and everything like that, you end up paying for subscription. So you can now have to pay to keep playing games instead of paying high prices for individual games that you can keep without the subscription. And I think this is likely to be the case for Microsoft and Xbox to continue with. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the future in general when it comes to gaming. Like, how many PCs have disk drives? But how many people just use Steam and just don't? Like, when was the last time you bought a physical PC game? Like that, like when would you put the code in from the back of the PC case and then put it in the PC? It doesn't happen, does it? Exactly. Disk drives have becoming more and more expensive to make, and the only devices that have disk drives are consoles, the Xbox and the PlayStation. No one uses them anymore. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people are digital. Most people are lazy and they just buy their things digitally. So I feel like digital is the future, if you like it or not, unfortunately. And at the moment, at least Xbox is giving you the option to buy stuff digitally full price or do subscription. It's not like you have to do one or the other, which is nice.
I don't actually buy games for the Xbox Series X and only keep Xbox One games, but I still use a disc drive when it comes to playing Blu-rays and DVDs. But I think I'm looking to get a standalone Blu-ray or DVD player because I just feel that they're becoming more useful whilst they would throw in the disc drive just to like have it as a convenience for playing physical games. But I think even with Microsoft already moving towards like having no disc drives, like with the PlayStation 5, you do get editions where you can either get it with a disc drive or without a disc drive. Hence, with PS5 Slim, if you do get a digital version and then you change your mind that you want to get a disc drive, good luck paying 100 quid for it because I think that's just their way of saying, well, you're going to have to pay a bit more for the disc drive.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen the new Xbox Series X coming out without a disc drive as well, and we also got the Series S that doesn't have a disc drive. I'm used to the digital future. I think that's kind of unfortunately. I mean, mass adoption is the thing. I mean, I love Blu-ray films and all that. I think that's great, but I think it's more of an enthusiast thing now, or it's going to become more of an enthusiast thing. It's just going to be for people who like really love their movies. So they want to have the most crisp, perfect version of the movie. You should get a Blu-ray disc. Most people are just like, oh, it's on Netflix. I'll watch it on Netflix. I don't care if it's for like 1080p instead of 4K. I'll just watch it on Netflix. I mean, that's what the majority of the public's like. unfortunately. But people who love movies and love gaming will still buy discs, but it's going to become more and more rare, and it's probably going to become a more expensive thing as well, unfortunately. Like vinyl records or and stuff like that. It's more of an enthusiast's thing,
Well,
unfortunately.
me, I tend to go in the opposite way, and I prefer the things like in the 90s or 2000s, where you used to buy physical media, rent stuff from shops, and you get shops with all those different things. And there's just when
Opposite.
they go fully digital with the internet, I just feel like I'm not really a fan of these. And it just seems
No.
like the way the things are is that instead of like you had to rely on everything that is localized, that whichever is available when it comes to resources and everything, it's pretty much there. And whenever you just travel up country, you just be surprised with some new things, and it's cool. But now those
Yeah.
days, it's just like, oh, everything's at your fingertips, and you got a lot of
Yeah.
internet, which is good when it comes to seeing it as an encyclopedia. But like, if I had this problem, like whenever I go to the town, because don't really live near to the city. Like if you go to one of the smaller cities or towns, and I go in the shop, and I need to look for this particular item, like for instance, I think it was I can't remember, like a USB stick with lots of megabytes on it. I just go around. Oh gosh, I mean gigabytes, not the megabytes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, my.
No, I know what you meant.
But yeah, it's just I would just go around and try to find it, and I just couldn't find it. And it turns out none of the shops near to me does not have any of it. So I had to
No.
go to an Amazon, buy that,
Yeah.
and have it sent to me with a day. Well, by the next day delivery. This is pretty much it, because it just seems that everything is shoved from local shops all the way to the mega corporation shop, and you don't even get to try anything unless you have it delivered to you and see if it works. And if you don't like it, you just like return it.
Yeah. Like the local shops are like dying out, and I mean, I agree with all of that. It is a bummer. I'm nostalgic for the old days as well, where you just stick a disc in the disc tray and play it. But then on the other hand, as much as I'm nostalgic for it, I look at my Xbox library and I'm like, ooh, I've got like 1,000 games to play. What do I want to play? I can play anything. I've got so much choice. And like maybe we suffer from like choice paralysis because we got so much to choose from. But I don't know. Is it a bad thing to have too many games? I don't know. I see the pros of both. I miss the old days of just putting a disc in the disc drive, but on the other hand, I do like having a massive library of games to play. If I don't like something, I don't have to invest hours and hours into it. Like if I bought a game for 60 quid even if it was rubbish, I'd still play it when I was a child. Whereas now I'm like, oh, this game's bad. I'm not playing anymore. Like I can move on. And yeah, I don't know. It's there is good things about modern gaming, but there are also bad things like microtransactions and battle passes and all that stuff and nickel and diamond, which I hate. But I also like the availability and the amount of games that you have to choose from. Like you don't have to wait. Like if there's a game that you really want to play and it's like out of stock in Blockbuster and someone keeps renting it out, you're not gonna be able to play it, and it's just like, oh, I really want to play that game, but no, like they haven't got it in Blockbuster. What am I gonna do? Like you don't have that anymore. If you want to play something, you can still get it. So I don't know. Pros and cons. There's pros and cons. I do miss those old days, so I'm nostalgic for it.
Well, this leads to this thing that Pure Xbox has pointed out to a tipster who suggested that Xbox will stop marketing consoles in certain markets, and that includes Europe. So, so if I read here, it's reported by The Verge that Verge's Tom Warren today at Microsoft that might be switching up its marketing strategy in certain regions going forward, with the likes of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East potentially set to be affected. I think there's only like speculation or rumor, but it appears as if they're going to cut down on marketing for the consoles. So with this quote, in May, I received the tip that the Microsoft is changing up its Xbox strategy for the new financial year in regions like Europe, Africa, and Middle East. I haven't been able to fully verify this, but the tipster claimed Microsoft will stop marketing Xbox consoles in certain markets in MEEA and focus only on Game Pass, cloud gaming, PC, and Xbox controllers.
Interesting. I mean, and I mean, if the rumors are true that we're getting next gen pretty soon, then maybe they just try to wrap up this generation. That's also a possibility. I mean, places like Japan and stuff, Game Pass for PC is skyrocketed, and so is the cloud streaming. But the consoles are about the same. I mean, so I guess it depends on the market. I'm a bit surprised they've given up on Europe, because I feel like Europe's still an area they could gain ground. Like, we're in Europe.
I think the PlayStation is very popular in Europe, so it might be a bit of a tough sell for like Xbox. But then as for the Americas, I don't know. PlayStation could be popular there, but it's also the case where Xbox is popular. But I think none of it really compares to the sheer popularity of Nintendo Switch around the world.
No. I mean, Nintendo Switch is the de facto console at the moment, and as much as PlayStation like to say they're the number one, it is Nintendo Switch. That is, as you've correctly said, they are the top, the pinnacle. Yeah,
but I think it's just could well be the fate of like Xbox that, like, you know, the Google Stadia that they used to do streaming games and then they closed it because it wasn't that popular. It could well be Microsoft taking on this role that instead of like selling consoles and everything, they could instead sell just controllers and other accessories and have other means of like doing things like cloud gaming. And I feel that with Game Pass Ultimate at this rate could be the saltier that you need to pay that exact price for it so you can play cloud gaming everywhere. And I think it's just quite likely that Microsoft could go all Stadia, only sticking to tiers that offer like cloud gaming for a really high price. So it could well be the fate of games that more subscription services will have like higher prices as a means to cover the coop for the increasing amount of costs for the internet, the inflation, and even a lot of demands and budgets for like lots of the huge films and everything, and even games. Like, I think the trouble is that AAA games are still getting most of the marketing there compared to the indie games, which I feel these games are still fun. People will still enjoy it, and Game Pass is like excellent for that. It's just there's a lot of marketing to the AAA games, and right now is that you only get Hellblade 2 on May, whereas you get the rest of the AAA games from like Microsoft towards the end of the year, whereas you don't really have anything else apart from Astro Bot to come out this year for PlayStation. Likewise for Switch. You get some odd games like beginning of this year, but you may not like get a lot of anything towards the end of the year. And Switch 2 is pretty much on the way to being announced in like 2025 as a shadow drop, which is supposed to give Xbox an edge in like sending their games, but you just end up having to wait until autumn for that. But then it could be a good thing because with Game Pass or the Xbox sales that they keep pumping out, people will definitely have more choices for games and be able to catch up with everyone else. And I think we can both agree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is no secret. This is Xbox's strategy. They've been saying this for ages, that they don't want to just sell you a box anymore. They want to sell you a service. They want to get you into Game Pass. This has been their strategy since 2020, 2019, maybe even earlier than that. I don't think it's a surprise that they're rolling back on the Xbox advertisements and stuff. I still think they're going to sell Xboxes, but I think there's some places that people just don't want to buy consoles. They're not interested in consoles. I think the time of having a box under your TV to play games, unfortunately, is not long for this world. I do think that is something that's going to eventually phase out within the next 10, 20 years. I think everything's going to be streaming at some point when the internet gets to that kind of level. You obviously have PC as an option, and essentially it'll be phone and PC for most things, and then also streaming. I think the console's kind of almost going to become redundant in like the next 10, 20 years, unfortunately.
I agree.
Which is a shame because I love consoles. I mean, I own all three of the current ones. So it's a bit of a shame.
I
but
think to me, it's just
I think they just see the writing on the wall, Xbox, and they're kind of moving. They're just. I feel like PlayStation's going to do the same thing within the next 5 or 10 years. I just think that Xbox are kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to this.
I'm going to have to say that the way I predict things for the next 5 to 10 years is that everything's going to be digital only. We're going to accept that. But Microsoft is likely to be focusing on all the other platforms and start to transition into it. Whereas PlayStation, they're going to be like a pioneer of having the high-end games console, but they probably end up losing out because they're already struggling with selling their first-party games, which means they may not be able to do PlayStations anymore and instead make games for other platforms like PC and mobile. But it is going to be inevitable that PC gaming used to be like really bad when it comes to like the DRM stuff, but now with the advent of Steam and other storefronts, it's now like PC gaming is popular again, and it just gives way to the PC gaming and the mobile gaming like being the most popular forms of entertainment. Whereas when you want to play on the console or you want to play on the TV, the cloud gaming could be the only avenue for it. But it's not going to be long until like everyone will just move on from games, which according to the recent articles is that watching videos is now more popular than video games when video games used to be the popular pastime.
That's a bit strange. I mean, I don't think gaming's going anywhere. I think the video games are going to be a thing forever now, but I think the way we play it, a lot of kids like playing video games on their tablets or on their phones, which I think is sad because I think that's an awful way to play video games, especially when they're full of shitty microtransactions and stuff. But as you said, PC gaming is becoming more and more popular. Stuff like the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck have made it more popular and more accessible to these people. I think Nintendo might stay around as like a niche thing, as a console. I think they will be the last console standing, I think. But I think PlayStation and Xbox are going to become more like services. I mean, we've already seen Xboxes moving over to Google Chrome sticks. So you can already stream, and also on LG TVs. So there's already become a streaming service already, more or less. It's just they're doing it gradually and not just, I think the interesting part is even though they are cloud streaming, they're streaming from Xboxes. They're using Xboxes as server on the servers. So they still need an Xbox service they still need an Xbox to stream from, if that makes any sense. So they still will exist, kind of.
Well,
which is weird.
I think there's pretty much heavily rumored that they could change it to Microsoft Gaming instead of keeping an Xbox name. But then, I don't know. We don't expect to have a huge change over time. But I think... I was going to say something, but I kind of forgot. But yeah, I think... I was going to mention that my niece and nephew in the moment, they play most of the time on their tablets. My nephew actually plays on the Nintendo Switch, but he does play a lot on the tablets, even when we go out to restaurants, because sometimes we just eat in a restaurant and then kids would be on the tablets. I just feel that when they grow up to about in teenage years, they would be used to playing on tablets, because for us, we grew up with games consoles, and we still play games on the games consoles, which shows that we still play games on those kind of things. But once that generation fizzes out, and then you have the majority of thriving population on who grow up with tablet games or mobile games, then we just could see the death of console games, but instead have it as cloud gaming services. Given that the internet is going to be much faster and faster, which means you're just going to end up make streaming the more viable option compared to the console games.
It just makes. I was just thinking. It just popped into my head. Have you ever seen Back to the Future 2?
Yes.
I'm assuming you probably have. Yeah. So there's a bit in Back to the Future 2 where he goes to an arcade machine and plays the arcade machine with the gun and goes. He's like, "Whoa, I'm so good at this game," and then the kids go, "You playing games with your hands? That's so old. Why would you do that?" And that's just what I think of. That's literally what it's like. It's like kids are gonna look at it's like, you use a controller? Why would you use this when you can just touch screen everything? Why would you do that? Ugh.
Well,
I'm hoping that
we want to do that actually, because I tried tablet games before. It's really good. I even got like iPad Mini and iPad Pro, but I don't really game on these because they just leave smudgy fingerprints on the screen.
I hate using a touch screen. It's horrible.
But iPads are still good for like when you watch videos, read manga. Yeah. But as for games, I just kind of like tried gaming on the tablet or phones, but I just couldn't even get into them. The only times that I find tablets useful is that if I have a Minecraft realm, for instance, that I play on Xbox, unless I can like do cloud gaming on the go or some sort of that, I could just like use Minecraft realms to have the world on my tablet and play it with the PlayStation controller. So
yeah, like I got the backbone controller, which I just plug into my phone if I need to use my phone for a gaming device. I think that's okay. But yeah, I'm going to try and make sure I get my nephews an Xbox when they're old enough to understand. I'm buying them a Series S. I'm going to be the cool uncle. I'm going to get him into gaming. I can't let them become tablet people.
Well, it's cheap. Xbox Series X, buy it.
Yeah.
But funny enough, there's an article that is just on the BBC. It's just like, well, the Generation Alpha could be like just a bunch of individuals who use a tablet all the time. And yeah, this is pretty much true for lots of people. But my sister's just finding out that, well, my nephew just like gets so addicted to Minecraft and it gets into a problem. But when they're not playing Minecraft or watching Minecraft videos, he just ends up like doing more creative stuff, like writing, for instance. He's been writing stories. And I just feel like if you can find a way to get them off the tablets, well, they can still use tablets, but if you get them to do things like crafts or writing and everything like that, we can avoid it. And they've been like so clever. But I think the trouble is, especially with me, that I see gaming as a coping mechanism, and I even deal with a lot of anxiety in my life. And I just feel the games is just kind of like de-stresses me out. So I think it just really depends. Like, if kids can like get on with games, that's fine. But I think it's just a case where the whole change is that something we may not accept easily is that it will change from the majority of the population from being console gamers over to tablet gamers. But I think as much as we don't like it, it just seems like, no. You were going to say disgusting to that, isn't it?
Disgusting! Ugh, no, I don't like it. I don't like playing console games on a touch screen. It's
touching
horrible.
on them, greasy fingers, and chicken grease. Disgusting.
Only game I find fun to play on the phone is Vampire Survivors, and even then I prefer to play that on a controller. So,
you'd be excited to hear that Apple Arcade's got Vampire Survivors Plus, which has got all the DLC, which will be coming on iPhones and iPads. And it will be through Apple Arcade. Would you be interested?
I might check that out.
Yeah.
Possibly, because I like Vampire Survivors. I played it a lot. I mean, I've heard this coming to PlayStation with a Platinum Trophy. I've bought it on the Xbox, I've bought it on Switch, I've got it on my phone. I'll probably buy it on PlayStation and get the Platinum on it, just so I complete it on all of them. I'm obsessed with Vampire Survivors. I've just got the Platinum Trophy on Geometry Survivors, which is Geometry Wars mixed with Vampire Survivors. I've just got the Platinum Trophy on that. Yeah, I'm obsessed. But yeah, I'm hoping that those are my favorite games on the handheld. Those are the only things I'll play on my phone. Vampire Survivor type games. I wouldn't play anything that needs like, multiple buttons and like precise inputs and stuff. Like I never play like Halo or something on a phone.
So
unless I have a controller, no chance.
Speaking of which, as we're going to change the subject, you got things on your chest about the Elden Ring DLC.
Oh, you died. Which I did a lot. I have died a lot. Yeah, this is my Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC review. I love it. It's so good. There we go. That's the review part. No, uh, um, I think it is my game of the year. I mean, do we count DLC as games of the year? Because if we do, it's my game of the year. It's a 10 out of 10.
Well, it depends because it depends if the DLCs like. I know it's not a standalone game, but I think it's just like, is it gonna? Does it offer like 40 or 60 hours of gameplay in it? Yes. I can see you nodding. So I think you can count that as a game. So it just seems like you really enjoy it. For me,
it's brilliant.
I haven't actually owned Elden Ring, and I don't know if it even is coming to Game Pass. But I think the DLC is just like more of an expansion pack than just a little DLC. Like a ship, Shadow of a Tree or some sort is to Elden Ring, as the Ship in the Isles is to Oblivion, or if you put it in the Skyrim terms, I think it was a Blood Moon. No, there's Dragonborn to Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. I think I put it right.
Yeah. I mean, this DLC is gigantic. So basically, the base game is massive. I would say this is about 75% of the base game size. Ooh. It's like nearly the same size as the base game when it like the map for this new DLC. There's so many bosses, there's so many places to go. The map is huge. Essentially, it feels like I was playing Elden Ring again for the first time. Like, it felt like I was playing a new game. I've put like 40, 50 hours into it. I'm on the last boss and it keeps kicking my ass. I'm struggling with it. I'm playing as a mage, which a lot of people call baby mode, or they say, oh, you noob, you use summons and you're a mage. But I love being a mage. I can't make my hard stuff. I just go, I fire a laser beam at it and blow it up. The coolest thing ever. But I can't beat this last boss. I've beaten every other boss in the...
You must be carrying some onions because you really make them quite over being the mage. But then I think that's what you get with Mage and Onion. Quite a bit of a stuff in there, isn't it?
Oh God. Oh God, that's terrible. That's a terrible pun. But yeah, I love Elden Ring. It's so good. People complain about it being too hard. And this is going to be ironic coming from me, but get good. God, it's not that hard. It's about as hard as the base game. The final boss and the final few bosses are very difficult. But there's a thing in there called scattered tree segments, or skidoo trees, as I like to call them, which are like collectibles that you collect that increase your stats. So you need to collect them before you basically go back into the game. And there's also ash fragments, which you need to upgrade your summons. If you don't upgrade them, then you're going to get killed. It's essentially people are mad because they had the level 900 character with maximum stats and they go into the DLC and they get killed. It's because they haven't leveled up. You have to level it up again in the new DLC.
Oh, like the prestige?
Essentially, yeah. It's like you basically level it up again by collecting these scatter tree segments, essentially. I'm max level when it comes to strategy segments and ashes. As I said, I'm on the final boss, max level. And I get to the second phase, and then he kills me straight away. His health bar gets about halfway, and then he just kills me. So it's very annoying, but I still love it. It's still my game of the year so far. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
You know, I think in Minecraft terms, I think it just kind of feels like in Minecraft, you got all the diamond armor, you go through the Nether Fortress, and you manage to beat the Ender Dragon at the end. And the update comes up, and it's like, oh, you got bastions. Be careful because the piglin brutes can like literally kill you in a few hits. Or if you're playing on hard, they will almost kill you in one hit. And I just feel like the way you described it kind of like reflects this experience.
Yeah, it feels like you are starting from scratch. But I don't see why people would want to get a DLC where they could literally kill everything in one shot and they'll be done in like an hour or two. Why would you want that? Like, this is Elden Ring. You want a trick. You want to have a challenge, surely. I found it really hard in parts, but I enjoyed it for the most part. This is the game that's made me swear and scream the most. Probably in my entire life. I've lost track how many times I've just gone, you beep beep beep, like just go on and throw my controller and all this stuff. This game makes you very angry, but when you beat something,
did you throw your controller over?
No, I don't do that, but I swear a lot. I can't. I'm not one of those people who throws the controller out. I'm like, put it down. Like I won't. I find I love my consoles too much. I couldn't damage them, but yeah, it's really hard. I could get really angry. So what I was going to say earlier as well is that the best way to show how much I love this game is, I was saying earlier to you, I'm like OCD and I play lots of different things. I usually have like 5 or 6 games going on at a time. As soon as I downloaded this, that's all I played until I got to the final boss. Literally all I played. I didn't play anything else. And I'm one of those people who plays lots of different things because I get bored easily. But I was just obsessed. I was obsessed with the DLC. Like Elden Ring, the base game, is in my top 10 games of all time. This DLC is in there as well. If you count it's in my top 10 games. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and the DLC is incredible. I really love it. And I'm not really much of a Souls person. I have Demon Souls, I have Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne, and I've never beaten any of them. I've never got that far into them. But this one, because it's an open world and and I find the world fascinating and really interesting and like cool to explore, I've got a lot further in it, and I've beaten the base game, and I've almost beaten the DLC since I'm on the last boss. I just can't beat him, but I basically, this is my favorite Souls game by a mile, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's up there with Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom for me as one of the best open world games I've ever played. And they both came out with it's crazy because I had Elden Ring, and then the year after I had Tears of the Kingdom, and now I got Elden Ring again. it's like whoa. I think this year's gonna be an interesting year when it comes to DLC, when it comes to our Game of the Year discussions, because I'm hoping Shattered Space is going to be really good as well. And then that's 2 DLCs I'm going to be talking about at the end of the year, I think, which is kind of crazy because I don't normally play DLCs, but this is I think in Metacritic, this is the highest reviewed DLC of all time. I think that's what they said. So, and I agree with that. This is the best DLC I've ever played. This is essentially another game. This is essentially Elden Ring 2, essentially. This is basically Elden Ring 2, and I love it. It's so good, and I highly recommend it. If you don't like Souls games, you're scared of Souls games, I don't blame you because I struggle with them as well. But try being a mage, try using summons, and you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it because I loved it, and that's how I played it. There's ways to play the game where it's not brutally punishing, and it's still challenging enough that it's fun. So I'm sure you can do it. I recommend it to everyone. I think it's one of the best games I've ever played. And 10 out of 10. I know I give 10 out of 10s a lot, but this one deserves it. I was thinking of giving it a 9 out of 10 because I feel like I give away too many 10 out of 10s, but I can't in good conscience not give this a 10 out of 10.
I do wonder what will happen if you get to Starfield Shattered Space, if it ever releases at all.
It should be given. I don't think that's going to be a 10 out of 10 Shattered Space, but I'm looking forward to it for sure because I love Starfield. I prefer the Elden Ring to base Starfield, so I'm assuming that I'll prefer the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC to the Shattered Space expansion. But you don't know. Never know. You never know. The Shattered Space expansion might be the best thing I've ever played ever. But yeah, I still love Starfield. I know that's sort of changed the subject a little bit, but I still love Starfield a lot, so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I can't see this not being my game of the year unless we don't count DLCs, and then I'll have to come up with something else. But if you count DLCs, I think this is going to be my game of the year. I can't see anything else beating it, honestly. It's that good. And the most annoying thing is that Davey from PS3 Trust has beaten the final boss, and it's like, I want your help, Davey. And it's like, I can't help you because it's not cross-save. It's like, or cross-play. I'm like, no! I can't beat this thing on my own. I need help. I need help badly. But yeah, if you're that's a good point. If you guys want, if any of you were playing Elden Ring DLC on Xbox and you got to the final boss and you can beat the final boss, please help me. I will summon you and you can help me, and I'll give you a shout out in the next podcast. I really need help, please. I want to beat this boss. I've died on him like 20 times. It's like maybe more than that.
Hopefully,
It's crazy.
Hopefully, it won't end up with just like a red herring with chips.
What's this one? I'm trying to get what that pun is.
Potato chips.
Okay. I see. Yeah, no, I think that's it, really. I wanted to say, I'm sure there's probably more on. I didn't want to go into spoilers. Like, I could talk about bosses and characters and stuff that you come across, but I don't want to spoil the game, so I want to try and keep it as vague as I can. It's great. Some bits are really hard and brutally hard. Like, they're like some of the hardest things I've ever done in a video game. And I beat Melania in the base game. And this game is brutal. So obviously, if like I think they said like statistically, 80% of people who played Elden Ring never beat Mog, which is the entrance to the DLC. So only like 20% of people who've played Elden Ring have access to the DLC area. Because you have to beat the boss Mog, which is like a late game boss to get to this DLC, which is hilarious. So yeah, good luck, Tarnished, my fellow Tarnished. Please check it out. If you haven't played Elden Ring, the base game, go check it out. It's worth it. And if you have played the base game and you loved it, check the DLC out because it's just more of the same. And it's worth it. 40 quid, no microtransactions, no battle passes, nothing like that. It's literally just no like custom skins you have to pay for. You pay 40 quid and you get the lot, and it's more value for money than some fully priced games, and it's just a DLC, which is crazy. So, I mean, there's games I've paid 70 quid for that have been less value for money than this, so worth it, totally.
Great.
I think that's my review. 10 out of 10.
Well,
10 out of 10.
Bear in mind that I haven't played the Elden Ring. I haven't checked out the DLC. So I think it's just quite literally you just like saying about it. But I think so far is that, from what I gather, is that those who enjoy the Elden Ring will end up enjoying the DLC, because I think it just continues the gameplay grind with lots of different fresh content and everything. So I think for those who actually enjoyed Elden Ring, will end up enjoying Elden Ring's DLC, which is Shadow of the Tree or some sort?
Shadow of the Tree, yeah. As I said, this is essentially Elden Ring 2 or Elden Ring 1.5. This is more of what you loved.
Yeah, it's just literally 1.5, so... But yeah, anyway, definitely. That's really good. And nice that you just talked about it. So
I love it.
Definitely learned a lot about it, because the one Souls game I've beaten is like Bloodborne, and I really enjoy it. It's really accessible, but I haven't got into like the Elden Ring, and I think it's just another one of those Soul games where it's like pain-crushingly difficult. But I think from what you described there, it's just like, yeah, it's really interesting. Open world Souls game, and it just keeps getting better. Like this year with the DLC, it's just like made it so much like gives you more of what you love about the game. So that's really great.
I mean, Elden Ring is the most accessible Souls game. If you want to play a Souls game, this is the one to play, because there is ways of making it easier and making it more playable.
Oh, wow. It
can be brutally hard, but as I said, if you're a mage, you could also summon a co-op like. Early game, you have like a jellyfish that can kill stuff that you can summon, but then later on you can get like characters, like ghosts essentially, to help you fight. You can also co-op. It's the most accessible Souls game. If you want to try Souls games out, this is the one to try out. This is the one to start with, because the other ones can be crushingly hard and you're kind of stuck. Whereas if you get stuck in this one, you can just go somewhere else and have like just wander in place, just explore and have fun.
Now we're just down in an hour into this podcast, but I think we're just going to skim the fat with this one, which so far we reach into the middle of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So we began. Well, I think this is pretty much a year of layoffs, where there's a lot of layoffs
Yeah.
happening in the companies, from like Microsoft and Ubisoft all the way to Sega, which they have
Hmm.
laid off a lot of staff as well. But
Yeah.
in terms of Xbox news, Microsoft, we got us scared about like they're gonna sell games over to Sony, but I think to me it's just like, yeah, it's interesting, but it does mean it hurts the competition. And
Yeah.
so far they just given them put on PlayStation 5, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and of course I think there was another one. Oh yeah, Sea of Thieves. And
Sea
I
of
thought,
Thieves.
yeah, just that will just keep things going on. And I mean, at least it's not Gears of War or Halo, which are like huge
Yeah.
franchises. But
Well,
then,
Sea of Thieves.
yeah,
Go on. I
but
was going to say Sea of Thieves is one of the highest selling games on PlayStation this year so far. It's been extremely popular and it's done very well.
same with
This
like
has been a weird year.
Hi-Fi, just like with Hi-Fi Rush. But
Yeah.
uh, many of the studios got shut, and that includes, I think it is Tango Softworks has been shut down,
Hmm.
and is a huge and devastating loss. And it just
Yeah.
seems at the moment it's just like, yeah, I think if we just like get all this stuff there, whilst Microsoft is just like laying off staff. And it seems to
Hmm.
be more reports of like Microsoft not treating developers right. I think there's a lot
Hmm.
of discourse to do with like 343 employees not getting on with like Microsoft. And it seems to lead to a lot of controversies, like how Bungie deaths are like not being respected by 343. So it just seems to
Hmm.
be like a lot of like drama to do with like Microsoft's relationship with developers, as well as like everything else. I mean, with Halo Infinite at the moment, I don't know if we could get more operations, but Halo Infinite multiplayer is literally being sunsetted pretty extremely, as the rest of the 343 is just like working on a new Halo game, which could come out in the next 2 years. But speaking
Yeah.
of which, you said you have some kind of game of the year so far, so what are you thinking of?
Yeah, so as you just said, I just wanted to wrap that up real quick. Is that obviously we're in July now. This is we're nearly halfway. We're over halfway through the year, so this is essentially we're wrapping up the first half of the year, moving into the second half. So the first 6 months of the year, my game of the year, as I said earlier, is probably Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree if it counts. If it doesn't count, then it'll probably be Helldivers 2. But those both of those games are really fun. Um, yeah, I mean, this is 2024 has been an interesting one. Also, as I said earlier, all the big Xbox games are coming out in the second half of the year. Like we've got a lot to look forward to, but for some reason, like the first 6 months has been a bit quiet, isn't it?
Well, for
Um,
me, the game of the year, I don't really have a solid one. Hellblade 2 is
mhm,
great, but it's not really game of the year material.
no,
As for Helldivers 2, I think there's a lot of the news spreading about how Sony is like ruining the game, and in fact, it's
mhm,
lost about 90% of their player base. But back in
unfortunately.
February, it was massive. It's amazing.
Hmm.
But I don't think there's been many other games that, if you just checked around like Switch, yeah, I think you're more likely to be drawn to like smaller releases and indie
Yeah,
games. But as for the bigger games, I think I think it just seems like the biggest games is like to do with live service games. As for the
hmm,
AAA games, there's of course Skull and Crossbones, which is pretty much like
yeah,
known as the first quadruple A
flop.
game. It just turned out to be absolutely much of a failure. But I don't think
Yeah.
there's any other games in 2024. So,
I mean, it's interesting because 2023 was probably one of the best years in gaming history, and
well,
now we're kind
what,
of we're kind of in a bit of a
2024?
lull.
Is it?
2023 last year was a big year for gaming, whereas
Uh,
whereas this year last year we had like Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Starfield. There was loads of really big Spider-Man 2. There was loads of really big games last year. This year seems a bit quieter. On the PlayStation side, you're literally just getting Astrobot this year. On the Switch, we're getting the new Zelda. game where you play as Zelda. And on Xbox, you have a lot of really big exclusives coming out, but they're all, for some reason, they're all late this year. So obviously, Shattered Space, Indiana Jones, Avowed, Call of Duty, Diablo DLC. There's like loads of stuff like that coming out later this year, which is crazy. This year's been a bit quiet so far, I think.
Well, if you were
the Game of the Years.
If you were to comb through the year, there isn't a lot of Xbox stuff, but you certainly get the likes of Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. You have Tekken 8, as well as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But I think we can all agree that 6 months does feel like a long time and is enough for us to like forget about all those games released. And you also have Destiny 2, The Final Shape, which I believe is the final DLC to...
I've heard that's been really good, apparently, the Final Shape, apparently.
And there's also Hades 2, which came out in the preview.
Early access,
and
which is fun.
And that's coming out later this year. But I think at the moment it just seems like where there's a bunch of games that are like really interesting, but I don't think there's anything that catches our eye as much as like Hellblade 2 or even Helldivers 2. Like, you know, that Davies like did the video and like said about the layoffs, and then goes on to say like it's best to have smaller games that are, like AA, like Helldivers 2. And I think these are the games we should be focusing on, but I think there's too much marketing on like even bigger games that are almost too expensive to produce.
Well, this year we also had Pal World. That was pretty good.
That was back in January.
And Persona 3 Reload, which I really liked, but it is a remake of an older game, so it's not a new game, but it was really nice.
And there's also another Crabs.
Good stuff.
Yeah, there's also another Crabs Treasure, and that's also came out too, but seems to be forgotten as well.
But yeah, as you were saying, I was going to say about Final Fantasy Rebirth. I haven't played it, but I was listening to the PS We Trust guys, and Davey's the only one who's played it. And he said it was okay. I think he said gave it a 7 out of 10. I think,
but it was good enough to get a platinum on it.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. And but he wouldn't. I don't know if he would recommend it or not. I think most people think the original remake was better than Rebirth. I think. I would like to try it at some point, but I'm hoping it'll come to Xbox sooner rather than later. But we'll see. I mean, this year's been a bit of a quiet one, as I said earlier. As I said, the only real exclusive on Xbox is Hellblade 2, and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's Game of the Year material, as you said yourself. I'm hoping Avowed's going to be awesome. I hope Starfield's going to be awesome. I hope Indiana Jones is going to be awesome. So, fingers crossed. We have some good games still to come this year, I hope.
Now, the real question is whether the Game Pass will hold up, because at the moment, price increases and you have to pay the top price to get day one releases. So if you're after things like Indiana Jones, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and it just seems like the biggest releases are coming to Xbox more than any other console. But it's almost as if you have to pay full price on the Game Pass in order to get the cream of the crop.
Oh, yeah.
So it just seems like it's a bit of a lost situation for those who don't have a lot of money.
I think basically the reason they've done this is because they want people who are signing up for Xbox to play Call of Duty to pay the full price, essentially. They want to make sure they get their money back on Call of Duty. I think this is the big push now with Game Pass. I think this is going to be do or die for Game Pass, this Call of Duty game. If for some reason Call of Duty does not sell very well on Game Pass, this might, this is going to be their biggest gamble, I think, and hopefully it works out for him, I hope.
Yes, I agree.
But as you said, a bit of a bummer year so far when it comes to layoffs and stuff. But I'm hoping the rest of the year is going to be better, but we will see.
Now, to wrap this up, we've got the final question to ask, but we're going to quickly go through the Fantasy League because we haven't spoke about it in the previous episodes. So, in the table there, we did a very funny video where we picked the drafts for the games, and and a lot has changed for the whole thing. Already did a couple of the bids, and still processing before like next Saturday actually. Now, so far, Phil is pretty much killing it. No negative
Oh yeah.
points, and most of his games have released, and that includes Destiny 2, the final shape, which got 91, and also there's WWE 2K24, which you did a counter pick for it.
I'll expect it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just pretty much lost points. How do you feel about that?
Not great. I honestly, oh, I was trying to get trying to get it up on on my list because I haven't got it here. But yeah, I counter picked it because they're inconsistent. You know, I feel good about you guys though because you've all counter picked me, and I think it's all going to backfire on you guys because all my games are solid. You
Well,
counter picked Indiana Jones, Avowed, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Metaphor Phantasmo, and Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma's already come out like trumps for me, so
and I
take
lost a
that.
lot of points for it. But
Yeah, exactly.
But going back to Phil, yes, he did counterpick Silent Hill 2 remake and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So there's a chance
Yeah.
he could lose big time if the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle does indeed achieve over 90 points. But I think it is guaranteed it could be above 70. Who knows? But he did.
The issue.
But he did actually have a slew of like Nintendo games, Xbox games, as well as PlayStation games. But I think that's a problem. Not enough PlayStation games in this year, so they ended up snatching some of the Xbox or even the Nintendo stuff.
Nicking our games. Keep our games away from you. I was going to say the issue I have.
Stay off the greens.
I think Davey's probably going to win because he got Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, which I already said is a fantastic game and he did really well.
Oh,
and he also outbidded me for Legend of Zelda: Echoes of the Wisdom, which I was desperate to get. I put $20 on it in fictional points, and he put 50 on it, so he got it before me. So I'm gutted. I'm really sad because I wanted the Legend of Zelda so badly.
I think I did put a bit on for it, but then I lost out. And I just couldn't believe, like, everyone's going for Zelda, but Davey is just pretty much almost exhausted his entire budget. So he's he's already got all the games on the list, but I think he's going to regret it just as much as when I did huge bids on like Pikmin 3 and Hollow Knight. But I think at the moment he's pretty much being fed quite well. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Elder Screen's Shadow of the Erdtree is got like huge points, and it looks like he might actually benefit. I mean, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom is 100% like going to be a high score, and he's also got Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero if it actually gets really good. But I think he's certainly picked the best food there. So like you said, he could well win. Who knows?
I think Dragon Ball Z is going to be one of those ones that I know the fans are really excited for this version of Dragon Ball Z, but it's a Dragon Ball Z game. They never do well. I can see it getting a 6 out of 10 or whatever. I think that might be his downfall. That's why I've counterpicked it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We will see. I'm still optimistic I can pull this off, but as I said, Zelda was like the killing blow for me. I was like, if I get Zelda, I can win this, and then I didn't get Zelda, so I was gutted. I did manage to get Mario and Luigi, which might do well because it's a Nintendo game.
Yeah, Mario and Luigi,
it's not Zelda.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
it's a bummer.
You also got some bunch of like Xbox games on there, which a lot of them got counterpicked, but you got like Braid Anniversary Edition, gives you a good head start. And there's also like Frostpunk 2. Not much I know about
PC game.
Yes.
It's a very popular PC game, so I'm hoping that's going to do well.
But yeah,
I got a lot like that's when I've watched these fantasy drafts with like Easy Allies and stuff. The people who seem to win are people who put PC games that no one's heard of on there, like the ones like because they seem to review quite well, like strategy games and stuff. So I've heard Frostpunk 2 was pretty really good. So I was like, yep, I'll pick that. Aria, History Untold, I'll pick that. Go for the PC stuff. Go for the PC master race.
Yeah. Well, focusing on the other tables there, just look at Spencer. Like, he doesn't seem to add anything else to the list.
Yeah,
And only 3 out of 5 games are being taken in. But Pokemon Black and White Remake, I would absolutely go for it. But then it didn't get announced. You already got like Pokemon A to C, which is coming out
and that's
next
for
year.
next year. Yeah.
And Avowed is
Nah.
also his counterpick. But he really needs to fill his table up. So I don't know if you should
Yeah.
like let him know and do something about that.
He's not, to be honest, he's not that interested in filling it out. I've asked him. We were out the other day drinking, and I was like, "Oh, you haven't touched your fantasy draft?" I was like, "Oh." So he's not bothered. I don't think he's bothered, which is surprising because he's a really competitive person. So I'm surprised he would want to be in a competition and not compete. You know, like I'm surprised he'd be willing to be 5th place in a competition because he's very
Yeah,
competitive. I
that's a
thought he
shame,
would like
really.
be like, yeah,
But
but
if
hey,
he,
I think it's fun.
but if he ever like gets back into this grind towards the end of the year, he's gonna have a huge chance because all of us is just gonna end up having all those games, and Spencer, if he ever comes back, he may have an advantage because of all the unannounced games towards the end of the year. Who knows?
Yeah, you
But
never know.
but for me, mine is just like a huge, interesting lister, which could be the worst or the best list ever. But of course, I picked Dragon's Dogma 2, which had a hefty loss of like 17 points, which knocks
Yeah,
it down to 14. But that's only because some of the games are like only a few games have released. And also, I counterpicked the Flight Simulator, so I'm waiting on that. But Mario
ooh,
Kart, unlikely to be announced because of Switch
yeah,
2 coming out next year. But after I did some like risky picks there, like I got Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, the Stalker 2, as well as Fishes of Mana. And I already
yeah.
picked like
Call of Duty.
Hellblade 2, Princess Peach Showtime, and Penny's Big
Zenless
Breakaway,
Zone
which is
Zelda, Zenless Zone Zero as well, which I've heard is an interesting game. You got 7 points for that one. That's an interesting pick.
but I did a
Uh,
strategy again that I waited until we get to the middle of the year, where you just get some more interesting games. And it looks like it could work out for me because I did pick Stalker 2 as a draft. That could be the best choice for this year because it's going to get weighted so much. But
yeah,
I not only did like send the Zone Zero, but also picked Assassin's Creed Shadows, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and Lego Horizons for Adventures, which could well be some really good picks. But the trouble is, it's just like, it's really difficult because I was going to go for the Sonic and Shadow Generations, but I thought it would be a 7 or 6, so it could be mid. So,
it
but,
could be mid, yeah.
but yeah, I think
I
it
think
could be
Stalker 2 is
difficult.
good.
Yeah.
I think Stalker 2 is a good one. I was going to say is that we're talking about the rest of the year now. Basically, I'm just waiting for September to come now because literally every game I want to play is coming out in September.
Hmm.
There's Age of Mythology retold on the 4th of September, then Stalker 2 on the 5th of September, Astrobot on the 6th of September, Warhammer Space Marine 2 on the 9th of September, Dead Rising Remastered on the 19th of September, History Untold on the 14th, the
Oh,
24th of September, and then Zelda Echoes of Wisdom on the 26th of September.
I should
That
pick
month is a stacked month.
I should pick Dead Rising, but instead I just picked Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
I'm not sure about Dead Rising. I'm looking forward to it, but it is one of those games that's kind of mixed bag. People love it, people hate it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's going to review very well, but I'm looking forward to it because I love Dead Rising. That game is so silly.
Yeah.
Should we start wrapping up because
Yes.
yeah. So, do you have a final question for me? You usually have
Yes.
one of these.
Um, I got a final question for you, and this might probably make you say something really bad for our listeners.
Oh
So,
no.
what will be the point in the future that will make you consider unsubscribing from Xbox Game Pass?
If they stop having day one games, if they stop having Yeah, if they stop having day one games, the quality of games goes downhill, which they don't seem to be doing at the moment. And if the price goes astronomical, I'd say we're paying £15 a month now. I would say £25 to £30 a month. I would probably reconsider it. But I'd be willing to pay up to. I mean, don't tell Xbox this. I'd be willing to pay up to £20 a month for it, but I'm not telling that. But I adore Game Pass. It's one of my favorite things like ever. So I can't see myself getting rid of it unless they really fuck it up somehow, messing up. Sorry, it's swearing. I don't. Yeah, I can't see myself unsubscribing from Game Pass unless they said it dries out. There's nothing good coming out going forward, and the price goes even higher than it is. But at the moment, I can't see myself stopping it now. Even with the back catalogue, I can't see myself getting fed up with the amount of games I got to play still. Even if they stop releasing new games, I think I'll be okay for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you? I mean, you've dabble anyway. Sometimes you kind of get fed up, and sometimes you come back and forth, which is fair enough. How do you feel?
I think I will come to the point where I did cancel the Game Pass, and I think it's better for me because I don't really want to keep subscribing to other services, especially the prices are going up. Likewise, that I can't really see myself owning Amazon, owning Netflix, owning Disney Plus, and then you have Paramount Plus, and I just feel like with all those prices increasing, I don't think I can afford to have all those services under one roof, which ironically enough, why go for all those 4 services if you can subscribe to TV license? Unless they do decide to increase the price of it, then it's just going to end up becoming the most valuable thing ever because the other subscription services is like increasing their prices. But I think when it comes to any subscription services, Game Pass is definitely lowered down in the list because I just feel that the price increases and everything. Like standard tier is only useful if it weren't for the day one releases. And I just feel like with day one releases, and if I'm required to like play those games for say reviews or some sort like that, I'm just gonna end up like missing out because I don't really want to keep paying Game Pass at the most expensive price. If it means to do day one games, it could well be months for me to like check out those games, and I can already see this like putting pressure on people who do reviews because when you do reviews, if you get review copies for it and you do them, then they don't really mind too much. But when it comes to those who are like don't have enough money or the resources to get review copies to play the game, then this is going to hit them the hardest, especially with the Game Pass. And I think that the same can be said to anyone who's interested to play those games. But when it comes to like the day one releases, that if Xbox like promotes them so much and that you have to pay like about $20 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, then it's just going to turn a lot of people off.
So, I mean, for me, I mean, you mentioned it yourself. I've been thinking that myself. Is that I have Netflix, I got Disney Plus, I got Amazon, I got PlayStation Plus, I got Nintendo Switch Online, I got Xbox Online. I have a lot of subscriptions, and you're right. I need to start cancelling some of them because it's too much. But for me, I would cancel Netflix, I would cancel Disney, I would cancel my Nintendo, I cancel my PlayStation. Literally, the subscription I use the most and the one I love the most is Game Pass. I love day one games. I love dabbling and playing lots of stuff. I'm a big gamer. Like, it's my passion. I love it so much. I could live without Netflix. I honestly could. I could live without Disney Plus. As you said yourself, TV license. I could just watch Freeview, watch BBC iPlayer, watch ITV Player. There's plenty of stuff to watch on there. You can watch YouTube. For me, it's my most valuable subscription because it's the one I use the most. So for me personally, I would cancel everything else first before I cancelled the Xbox Game Pass. It's the one I want to keep the most. If I could only have one subscription, it would be Game Pass.
I think the most annoying thing is that with perks, it promises you subscriptions, but you can't really get them because you have to be a new member to the service. So you'll probably be
Yeah.
thinking of Game Pass Ultimate. Like, if it gives you like 3 months there to any service, then you would definitely like say Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. But I think there was one of those times that if it offers you like months of Apple TV, you get regardless whether you signed up for it before or not. Because Apple seems to keep spoiling us with more free months, even if you're still that you subscribed to the service before. Likewise with Minecraft, it's like you get Minecraft realms for free if you haven't purchased a realm in the past 6 months.
With Apple TV, I think it's Ted Lasso's about the only thing on there that's worth the subscription. If you've watched that, you think you're good. I don't think there's anything else on there really worth watching.
There's on the Monarch,
honestly,
which involves Godzilla, which is a TV series.
I haven't seen that, but fair enough. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, as I said, if I had to pick any subscription, it would be Game Pass. I still love it. I know it's expensive, but everything's expensive. And I still think the fact that you're paying for £50 a month for all these games is better than paying 60 quid for each game individually. And, you know, personally, I think it's a better deal. And you were saying it's bad for people who have little income. I think this is really good for people who have little income, because if you haven't got much money, instead of buying one game that's going to last you a couple of weeks, you can buy a subscription which will last you a month, and you'll have plenty of stuff to do. So I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, personally.
With that said, I think we should wrap up. We're hoped for the hour, but then we got a lot more for chess, so we might as well just
have a little chat.
up. Yeah.
No, I really like. It's nice catching up with you, Alice. It's been a while. We want to try and do these podcasts more often, but obviously it's been a bit of a quiet news month since the showcase, really, to be fair. But hopefully we'll be back more.
I'm almost tempted to like say, well, let's not do that episode because there's not much new stuff is happening. But then as soon as the Game Pass price increase has happened, poof, it's happened. But then we could just kind of like give them more time because England went to the Euros final.
Right, I'm done. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube. And follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.